It disappeared. It disappeared. It disappeared. It disappeared. It disappeared. It disappeared. A fine, full, dignified beard.
I know that I'm not like I'm a juggalo. We all whatever. We're all underground. We're not supposed to be readers. I read. How many people in the chat I got that read? How many people in the chat I got have read a book in the last 2 months, 60 days? Give me a show of hands. Who in this motherfucker has read a book? And I don't mean a comic book. I mean a book with words in it. All right, I see. I read. Good. 17 books been read. Somebody read. I'm glad that my viewership looks to be fucking literate adult humans. That's fucking fantastic. So for a new segment on the Nightly Beard, I figured occasionally, maybe once a week or something, because I've read a lot. I mean, shit, when I was in the Navy, there's 2 places where people read the most. Libraries being number 1, number 2 being jail. But you can also equate being in jail to being out to sea on a boat. And when I was in the Navy and we used to go on these deployments, these 6, 8, 9 month deployments, you only spend a couple, 2, 3, 4 days a month in port anywhere. The rest of the time you're floating around on the ocean. So books became my fucking friends. Let me tell you. And I don't mean standard stuff. Trust me. So I'm going to drop a couple of books here and there on you guys. And I figured tonight would be a good time to do the first one. This book actually belongs to a friend of mine named 50 Dead. Shouts out to the 50 deceased. He is one half of the Weird Die Young. If you aren't familiar with Weird Die Young, give their ass a fucking YouTube search. It's worth the YouTube search. All right. My man 50 deceased gave me this book to borrow several years ago, and I've been borrowing it ever since. Now, he gave me one without a copy, without a cover on it. It doesn't have a cover. So I can't show you a picture of the cover because the copy he had, the fucking cover fell off. But this is the book that we're going to be talking about today. It is called Behold a Pale Horse. And it's written by a dude by the name of William Cooper. Okay. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about this book. Behold a Pale Horse. Behold a Pale Horse kind of changed my shit, my life, my way of thinking when it came into a lot of things. This is essentially like a conspiracy theorist Bible. Yeah, so I brought it up. Ill Bill talks about this book a lot. William Cooper is one of the people that he studies the works of him as someone. William Cooper is a former United States Naval Intelligence Briefing Team member. And in this book, he revealed information that was kept in top secret government files from the 40s. It's pretty crazy. It's crazy shit. In this book, he talks about the real deal with aliens, like what the government actually knows. He talks about the formation of central banks and how they're being used to control people. He speaks on, let me see, the alliances and the things you don't hear about in regards to the implementation of a new world order, one world government. It goes into the FEMA acts that we hear and talk about now. Now, understand, this book was written. Shit, let me look at the fucking. Let me look at the liner note. Let me look up the fucking. I mean, it had to have been written prior to 1990. And he's talking about the shit about like the FEMA camps and how people now talk about how they see coffins and things at the FEMA camps. Yo, Billy Sarducci knows. Shouts out for the $5 fucking super chat on that shit. But if you are a historian or someone who's interested in peeling back the layers of the onion that we know is what we call society and what the human being as a fucking species has become, this is an excellent place to start. Okay, before you go jumping into some crazy ass Children of the Gods, David Icke, Lizard Man shit, which we're going to talk about on a later episode, I'm sure. Okay. This shit right here is pretty decent. There are pieces of it that are really hard to get through. You kind of have to use it as a textbook. It's not written in a narrative fashion. There's no story involved. It is strictly chapters, and contained in said chapters are information. All right. Another fucking $2 super chat from Overload. Me and this dude are gonna have to talk. The California Rhode Island connection. I used to live in San Diego. The connection is real. But some of the chapters titles include Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, which details the way warfare changed during the Vietnam War and why. All right. The takeover of the US via the UN or some other one world multinational, military organization. The FEMA Act and what the FEMA Act, the emergency powers it provides the president, and what the president could do if ever granted federal emergency management powers. Things in here about the Nixon administration, about how there was a secret military coup that occurred. That was not him being impeached. That was him having his position basically taken from him by military members in his own administration. Nothing about flat earth in here. All right. Nothing about flat earth. And you want to know why there's nothing about flat earth in Behold a Pale Horse? Because the earth's not fucking flat. All right. Dudes like Bill Cooper and dudes like me, we went around the world on something called a boat. And when you're on a boat and you go one fucking direction long enough, you end up back where you were. And that's what happened twice. So all this, you can take that flat earth shit. I ain't going to time out you people, but I will not. I'll argue a bunch. I'll argue with a bunch of different types of people. I'll argue pretty much anything, but I am not going to argue a fact of fucking science that was discovered, discussed, and scientifically proven by two guys with a fucking telescope 400 years ago. We didn't just find out the earth was round. It's not like motherfuckers just 10 years ago go, the earth's round now. No. Motherfuckers who didn't have satellites and spacecraft and shit like that, dudes who had like a fucking tube with a lens on it, they found out the earth was round. Okay? Look at that. Another fucking super chat. I see you, man. We're going to talk this week. I'm telling you. Good stuff coming up for everybody. The plot twist is imminent. But what is not good is people saying flat earth shit. I think it's disrespectful to motherfuckers like Copernicus and whoever the fuck else were up in these towers in Italy with fucking books and quills and, oh, we seen a star today. And then they track the motherfucker every night for a month. Like, it's disrespectful to those guys, because a lot of those guys in the early days are just like me. Okay. They had an opinion. Okay. Now, at the time, they were like, okay, the world's round. The world's round and the sun is the center of our universe. And a bunch of motherfuckers, most of the motherfuckers said, no, the earth is flat and the earth is the center of our universe. And at the time, who was running the show? The church. So what happened? A lot of these guys, these early round earthers, as I bet you they weren't called for whatever reason, like we call these dudes flat earthers because it's kind of a joke. What they were called back then, instead of round earthers, they were called heretics. They were called treasonous. They were called witches. They were burned at the fucking stake during the Inquisition. Okay? Like, without the Inquisition, we do not have a scientific dark age, okay, that lasted 100 years, okay? we would be way further in our advancement as a fucking species had we not had 100 years of fucking religious persecution on fucking science. And it started with people saying that the earth was round and people burning them at the stake. It's disrespectful to them that anybody who came up with the fucking intelligence and education that you can receive, even in this country, okay? You can say what you want about American education or about education anywhere. But if you had any kind of education at all, you would understand the earth's fucking round. Deal with it. All right? But whatever. I'm not going to go to space, so I don't give a shit. That's one of those few things you are absolutely not gonna get me to do. I don't give a fuck. Oh, something's coming. Oh, their fucking Bane is coming or whatever from fucking Doomsday's coming. He's going to destroy the earth. Fuck it. I ain't getting on no spacecraft. I ain't leaving. You ain't getting me. That's a scary trip. It's not even going to space. I'm sure space is fine. But that fucking trip, a lot can go wrong. All it takes is one fuck up and you go boom. I don't want my eyes to be blue. One blue that way, one blue the other. But no, this book is dope. This book kind of changed my life, like I said, but there's a couple of hard sections. Like I said, it's kind of like a textbook. There's some sort of a proposed constitution for the Americas after the takeover of the one world government. There's a couple other dope chapters in here. There's information in here about how the CIA attempted to use crack cocaine as well as the AIDS virus. Some fucking crazy shit. But if you're into looking past what you're being told, this is a dope book. And there's a couple of real dope things in here that are absolutely true. Like absolutely true. There's a chapter in here that covers the Army Psyops program. Now, the Army Psyops program after World War II and before Vietnam and during Vietnam was taken over by a guy named Michael Aquino. Now, the story of Michael Aquino was that Michael Aquino was the head priest of the San Francisco Church of Satan, but somehow he was also a major general in the army. And he was in charge. He was the CEO of what they called the Mind War Division, which was Army Psychological Warfare Operations, Mind War Detachment 1. Okay. Michael Aquino wrote a book called Psyops to Mind War, which is a book I've read, which if I can get a copy of it, I'd love to fucking talk about on this show because that's a fucking weird book, but it's supposed to be that way. It details how to psychologically break motherfuckers down like crazy, like break them down to nothing, like how to psychologically hit reset buttons on people. And during the whole period of time that Michael Aquino was putting together this publication that later became Army standard operating procedure when it came to psyops, he was the fucking head of the Church of Satan. Like, they obviously couldn't do anything about it. It's religious freedom, and this was, the 60s and 70s. But at the time, the Church of Satan in San Francisco in the 70s, if you do any kind of, looking up of that on the Google, it was mostly a bunch of orgies and weird fucking ritual shit. So that's an absolutely true story. That shit's in there, and it kind of explains how the one influenced the other and vice versa. How Michael Aquino was able to not only use things he learned in the Church of Satan, but also to use things he learned in the army within the Church of Satan to increase his own power. So yeah, check that fucking book out. I'm sure if you order it on the internet, they're going to put you on a list. I'm sure they probably got it at shit. I mean, Google it. Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper. It's got a dope painting of a dude riding a pale horse on this motherfucker. I should give this book back to my friend, but that's the Chuck Reeves book report. I hope if there's one person in the room that goes out, picks this up and reads it, let me know. Let me know if you read any of my suggestions and how you feel. I think next week for the Chuck Reeves book club, we're going to talk about one of my favorite books to come out in the last 5 years for sure. It's going to be a movie coming out next summer, I think, directed by Steven Spielberg. The book's called Ready Player One. So if you read and you can get online, this book in particular, it exists in free version online. It's called Ready Player One. Just Google Ready Player One free text. Give it a read. I'm going to be talking about it next week. It's fucking excellent.